Hey everybody, welcome to WNY High School Sportsline. I am Frank Wolf of WNYathletics.com. It's episode 4, and we're having fun with this. I hope you're having as much fun as I am doing it. It's crazy times right now. We don't have whole lot of sports to talk about, but it doesn't mean we can't at least talk about the seniors and some of the coaches at this time. I think it's important to keep some sense of normalcy. We're a high school sports outlet. We do high school sports. That's what we do. And just because they're not playing right now and things look bleak doesn't mean we can't keep talking about it. We're a positive outlet. We like to do the positive stories, and I think it's important to still talk about these athletes because they did put in a tremendous amount of work over the fall, winter, spring to get ready. And just because there isn't actual games going on right now, it doesn't take away the fact that these kids sacrificed a lot of time to get ready to go. And if they're not going to play, I don't want them to be forgotten about. So we're going to continue doing the show regardless. Siobhan Ryan from Sacred Heart. She's going to be one of my guests today. Looking forward to having Siobhan on the program. She's heading to Richmond in just a few months. She had an incredible high school basketball career. And we're going to talk to her in just a little bit, find out what she's up to, and her thoughts on Richmond and the Western New York basketball landscape, and what she's up to during this period of isolation, if you will. So I'm looking forward to talking to her about that and sharing that interview with you folks. Not a whole heck of a lot going on in terms of news. If you're committing somewhere and you want me to make the announcement, by all means, send me a tweet at Wolf3328, and I'll be sure to make sure that everyone knows about it. If you're something going on, you want me to know, you want people to know about, you want to be recognized, this is an opportunity for you to do that. Be happy to help you out. Right now, I'm just having like senior athletes on that were somewhat affected by the Corona-19 canceling seasons and ending seasons and things of that nature. So I'm pretty much just concentrating on the senior athletes. You won't see any juniors for a while or even sophomores if I'll have that young of an athlete on, but right now, at least, we're just going to do the seniors. Coaches, of course, are always welcome. ADs, other media members. We'll have Winston Wilcox on from the Augusta Chronicle. Years ago, he was with the Niagara Gazette. Winston was a great reporter. Really enjoyed my time working with him while he was at the Gazette, a job now filled by Kyrie Demos. And Demos is going to be with me tomorrow for a segment, so we'll talk to those guys. Winston will be up right after Siobhan. One thing out there, I know Miguel from the Buffalo News posted that Nichols Hockey is making some coaching changes. The boys coach, Jamie Prince, who has been the boys coach for 11 years, is going to be assuming the girls coaching duties as a head coach starting right away. And his assistant, Mike Benedict, he's going to assume the role of head coaching duties next season. Actually, it's a year-round at Nichols. They play hockey year-round. So that's Mike Benedict goes right to work, and he's going to have John Cristiano on his staff. You Sabre fans out there, John Cristiano was with the Sabre organization, as you know. He was before he was the professional director of scouting, he was actually an assistant coach in Rochester from '98 to 2003. Cristiano was the assistant coach there, and then he moved into the professional scouting department for the Sabres. He was the head of the professional scouting department from 2004 until 2017. And so he'll be joining Benedict on the bench there, and Jamie takes over the girls program. Best of luck to you guys there as well. So we've got Siobhan Ryan, we've got Winston Wilcox, and me at Wolf3328 today. Thank you for joining. Let's go into our first interview with Winston Wilcox. Welcome back to High School Sportsline. I am Frank Wolf. I'm going to be joined by Winston Wilcox. He used to work at the Niagara Gazette, did a great job up there. Really admired his work, and I've been following him along on his journey. He's going to be at ESPN one of these days, I have no doubt. But Winston right now is down in Georgia. The Augusta Chronicle is where he landed. Doing a great job down there. And I wanted to get another perspective from another high school sports journalist around the country in a different area, just to see how they're coping with everything, what's going on there in terms of their spring season and that sort of thing. Anyways, I thought it'd be a good idea to bring Winston in and just reconnect with him. So I'll play that interview for you now. Welcome back to WNY High School Sportsline. I am now joined by Winston Wilcox, who at one time was with the Niagara Gazette not too long ago. In fact, the job that Kyrie Demos is doing now was once held by Winston Wilcox, and we became very good friends. Always enjoyed and admired his work, and that took him down to Georgia, where right now he's at the Augusta Chronicle. I believe you covered the Masters last year. Did you not, Winston?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that something? I mean, you go from doing the Porter Cup up here to the Masters. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I wish I could put into words what the experience was like. Words wouldn't do it justice.
I understand. So, Winston, when you were up here, you were doing a lot of high school sports, and that's where we kind of crossed paths over and over. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on today was to try to put in perspective what's going on right now in Georgia as it pertains to high school sports. What's going on here right now. We're completely shut down. We did not have the winter championships. That was wiped out. We had the girls hockey finals, but we didn't have like boys and girls basketball, and we didn't have the boys ice hockey championships, which I believe you covered at one time when Niagara Wheatfield made their run. So we literally got to that weekend, like, word came down Friday that no, it's done. So like within like 24 hours of puck dropping, they said no, or maybe it was a little more, 36 hours or so. They said, New York, don't come up here, so. But Winston, what's going on right now? What's going on down in Augusta? I know you had some information you were waiting on today, but tell us about Augusta.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar to you guys up in New York. Students have been out of school and been switched to the distance learning model that most of the schools around the country are adopting, and that's been happening since, I don't want to put a date on it, but it's been happening for the past couple of weeks, right around the time that all the sports and stuff, professional leagues were suspending their seasons. That was about the time that it was happening, and from there, this is both on the Georgia and South Carolina side. For those not familiar with Augusta, it's right on the state border, so we dabble in a little bit of South Carolina because that's right there with our coverage area, if you will. So we've had a lot of schools, almost all of them in the area, I believe, have switched to the distance learning, and with that, that suspended sports. As you said, I'm waiting around to hear what the GHSA is going to say. The GHSA, which is the governing body for high school sports in all of Georgia. The governor, Brian Kemp, came on yesterday and said that, all schools will remain in distance learning for the remainder of the school year. And so with anticipation of a lot of people, that means the high school season will be concluded and will go unfinished. Again, I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know how they plan on going about it, but the GHSA is meeting. They met today about 10 a.m. and we're waiting an official word to see how they're going to proceed and what the official vote is going to be about the future of the spring season. You mentioned that you guys weren't able to finish your winter season. We actually got in just in time. Our basketball championships were March 6th, and that was probably the absolute last winter championship, I believe, because after that, everything was falling into place to suspend, and our spring season had just started to pick up. So we were able, fortunately, to finish our winter season, but spring season got the worst of the coronavirus pandemic impact.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what we're expecting to hear from NISFA. At some point, they put a date out there of April 20th, I believe, or April 27th was going to be kind of like that date where they put everything, all the cards on the table. They'll make an announcement, April 27th at the latest or before. And, we've been preparing for the worst news, that there would be no spring season, which would be, just detrimental to a lot of local athletes, coaches, and administrators alike. Officials too. I mean, officials aren't out there doing their job, and a lot of people depend on high school sports. We've only been doing this show a week now, but I've got some people telling me that, hey, maybe it's not the right thing to do right now, and my whole thing is, when it comes to high school sports, it's almost always positive. The news. You're highlighting athletes and coaches, in the good and the bad at times, in the bad meaning, a loss, not like, you were cut from a team or something. You get a bad loss at the end of a state final run or something like that, but you're you're focusing on the positives. That's what, going back when you met me, that's all WNY Athletics wants to do is the positive stories. So my response is, we're going to keep on talking about high school sports and highlighting those athletes. We've got Siobhan Ryan from Sacred Heart coming on later. I got Sam Klein will be joining me on Friday. He's a St. Joe's wide receiver. We've had a number of athletes on already, and they love it. They're loving it. They send me thank yous and things like that. So as long as they're having fun with it, we're going to continue doing it, because at the end of the day, you're celebrating high school sports, but it is detrimental that we don't have them right now to a lot of different people. You think about the buses, those drivers are out of work. You think about the officials and umpires, they're out of work right now. They're not getting that extra money that they depend on, so it's a tough situation. Obviously you guys are going through the same thing, but I know that if we rush too quickly to get back on the diamond, and God forbid someone gets sick, they're going to stop right away, and we're going to have to go through this period once again. So we're suffering now without high school sports, but if we can just get through the next 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then maybe we can go back to some sort of normalcy. But I think it's going to come at the expense of the spring sports season, and it sounds like that's what's going on in Georgia.
Yeah. When I spoke with an AD here at one of our one of our counties, he mentioned that they're kind of going by what the GHSA does, and the GHSA doesn't actually govern specific schools, if that makes sense. So they're the governing body of high school athletics in Georgia, but they leave it up to the schools for decisions and things like this. So when everything was unfolding, they mentioned that they recommended that schools suspend their seasons. This is at the very beginning. They recommended that schools recommend their seasons, but they didn't actually say suspend your season. Then it was up to the schools, and each school kind of followed suit of, okay, we're going to suspend our season, and was kind of waiting around for what the GHSA was going to update. And they sent out an update March 26th, so that would have been last Wednesday, I believe, saying that they're going to extend that period until April 24th. And that at that point the governor had already said no meetings of of people more than 10 people, I believe, or something like that. And they kind of coming from the federal side, they kind of adopted that model as well. And so from there, that was when things were kind of suspended officially. And once the GHSA kind of stepped in and said, we're going to abide by that, and we're still suspending everything and all that, it was kind of waiting around for an official statement around this time that they said that they would put it out. And they said by April 24th, they would reach out to the schools, individual schools, to let them know, what the fate is going to be. And with them meeting today, following Governor Kemp's statement yesterday, like I said, it's looking pretty likely that the spring season won't continue.
So, Winston, you probably remember a school, a private school here, Bishop Timon, actually closed. Now, they're an independent school. All the Catholic schools are run on their own. They're all independent of one another. But Bishop Timon did decide to close for the rest of the school year, stating that they met all their academic requirements for the year. So they are officially shut down right now until the fall. So that's just one school, and I'm assuming it could be a domino effect for others. You see some other private schools in a similar position make the same decision in the coming days, if not hours. So I know with Monsignor Martin, the Catholic high school governing body for the state of New York said no state championships. But if they were going to have a season, it would be regular only. And I believe a source told me that they are good through June 20th, but they wouldn't go any further than that. But still, that's if we even have a season. The way things are going, it looks bleak. So up here in Western New York, that we host the state hockey tournament. And I believe it was that Tuesday or Wednesday before the Saturday games kick off. And we were also hosting the boys Far West Regionals at Buff State for basketball. Either it was either Tuesday or Wednesday that week, we got an email from New York State Public High School that there were going to be no spectators and very limited media. So the games would go on, but no fans. And then it was that Thursday when they said, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to suspend him indefinitely. And then in the last week or so, week and a half, 2 weeks, Robert Zayas came on and said, we're just not going to have the winter championships, and we're going to focus on seeing what we can salvage from the spring season. So, Winston, we're all in the same boat here, and it's not good, but our health is more important. So we agree with the decision to with canceling the winter sports championships. We did agree with that, as much as it affects WNY athletics and all the other outlets. It's going to hit them a lot harder than it'll hit us, because we do a lot of this as all volunteer for us. So we'll be there when sports resume. But Winston, what else is going on in your life amidst all the chaos right now? What else? Any good news out of the Wilcox family?
No, nothing that comes to mind. It's just kind of business as usual. I guess most surprising news was the Masters being postponed. That was definitely an interesting thing, just because everything we were talking about Masters back in February, and so we're kind of preparing and getting ready for it, and it's postponed a month before it was supposed to tee off. So that was kind of interesting. And with everything that unfolded with it, with the drive, chip, and putt, and the women's amateur, all those being affected as well. So that kind of threw us for a loop there, because we're spending a month and a half preparing for it, and all of a sudden it comes to a halt. But other than that, things are kind of just business as usual for both me and here. I'm in the confines of my apartment. Have been for quite some time. We went into a remote work for our office right when all the sports were canceling. That, I think, like March 13th, 14th, whatever that Friday was. We went into an effect to work from home, and we've been like that across the company ever since. So me personally, I'm just trying to stay safe and stay busy.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Winston, the Masters, when was the post? Did they say when the next date was? Was it August sometime?
We haven't heard any official date.
Okay.
No, they haven't released anything. Last I heard is that, it was going to be postponed. I did hear the drive, chip, and putt, which is what the kids do. They're canceling next year's drive, chip, and putt and moving this year's drive, chip, and putt to next year's date. So they're canceling the qualifying season and all of that. So anybody that was looking to qualify for next year's drive, chip, and putt will have to wait.
Okay.
And anybody that was invited to the national finals this year, their invite is still valid for next year. And they'll keep the same pool regardless of the age, the bracket, and all of that. You'll still be able to compete in the drive, chip, and putt next year. You just will not be competing this year.
Okay. Well, Winston, I really appreciate your time today. I do miss you up in Buffalo. Stay safe, my friend, and we'll catch up with you again. Maybe after you guys find out what the fate is in Georgia, I'll tweet that out. And we're all in this together. So you just stay safe down there, and I'm sure I'll be checking in with you again before you know it.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, Frank. It's always good to talk to you. Always good to catch up. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for having me on. And I'll definitely be in touch. Follow me along on Twitter to see how all of this is going to unfold. And, like you said, definitely have me on again, because, we have now nothing but time.
WNYathletics.com is the premier high school sports website in Western New York, providing the best sports coverage of Section 6 and Monsignor Martin leagues. Check out our page for daily game recaps and late-breaking sports news. Our online scoreboards are updated in real time. Never miss a goal or touchdown. Visit WNYathletics.com today, or follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube.
I'm now joined by Siobhan Ryan from Sacred Heart. Siobhan was a 4-year varsity captain of the volleyball team, just reached 1,000 kills in her senior year. She's also a Western New York Scholar athlete, but you probably know Ms. Ryan from her dominating performance on basketball courts near and far. And Miss Ryan is heading to Richmond this fall. Siobhan, you just completed your senior season, and things didn't come to the end we wanted it to ultimately, but you still had a very successful year. You pretty much put a team on your back of a lot of young girls, a lot of young sharks out there. You guys were pretty successful, even though you were a fairly young team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did a lot better than what people were expecting from us. Obviously, like you said, we didn't get the ending we wanted. We wanted to be able to compete at states, but just being able to finish out the way we did with the league win against Narden, them being our rivals and everything, that was a super fun atmosphere to play in. And honestly, we can't be too upset with that being our last game of the season with how it all turned out.
Siobhan, you're getting ready to play for states. You're practicing with your team. All of a sudden, word comes down that they're going to cancel the winter season for the Catholic Championships. What's going through your mind? How did you hear the news? Who delivered the news to you? And how did that play out with your teammates? I mean, I could guess, but you tell us.
Yeah, our coach told us at the beginning of practice one day. So she had us all sit down at the beginning of practice, which was kind of weird because normally, we get right into it and start stretching and stuff. So I think we all kind of had the idea that we were getting bad news. And then she told us that it was going to get postponed because that was the original thing that was announced. But I think going through all of our heads was that if it's getting postponed, that probably means canceled, just because we kind of thought that this was going to get worse over time, not better. So that definitely took a toll on our practice that day. It was a lot of just sitting around, kind of going around, saying memories and stuff like that. We did a couple fun competition drills at the end, but yeah, kind of took down the team morale a little bit. But I mean, like you said, we had a good season, so it was kind of just trying to take the positive out of a tough situation like that.
So, given how things ended, what was it like saying goodbye to those girls one last time as their captain?
It was tough for sure. A lot of people started crying a little bit, and just because we had a really good team chemistry. I've had awesome teams over the last 4 years, but I think it was just different being a senior and being the only senior too, with all the younger girls who have become some of my closest friends. So saying goodbye and walking away the last time was definitely really hard. But like I said, we have close friendships, so I know that that's not the last time I'll be seeing them. But it was just hard. That's the last time we're playing together and stuff like that.
As I already mentioned, you were a Western New York Scholar athlete, so congratulations there. I know you're all Catholic first team your sophomore, junior, and senior years, Class A Player of the Year, junior and senior year. All Western New York second team your junior year, honorable mention sophomore year. You broke a 17-year-old scoring record for most career points, finishing with 1946. Got to believe you would have eclipsed 2,000.
Yeah, that was definitely my goal, especially with if we had won states, it would have been up to 3 games potentially with going to fights too.
Is that you shouldn't have too many regrets, but I would imagine that's probably one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you were unable to reach that goal, not because of your own doing or anything like that. That's probably one of the tougher things, or one of the things you're going to regret, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
But even without the 2,000 points, you are committed to Richmond. You're going to go play down there. That's pretty exciting. Just talk about what went into the recruiting process for you in particular, why you chose Richmond. What was that experience like, being recruited by a team of that caliber, and how that all took place?
Okay, yeah, for sure. So definitely just being on the AAU circuit, I started playing at a young age, so it kind of exposed me to schools, and then obviously as I got older, the caliber of schools that recruited me slowly got higher and higher. And then Richmond came in sort of towards the end because the coaching staff had been recruiting me at Bucknell since I was a freshman, and then I think it was May or maybe a little earlier. They moved over to Richmond, and then they called me right away from there. And honestly, I think I was considering Bucknell for sure because of the staff and stuff, but I think just Richmond as a school and as a program was a better fit for me. So it was kind of a quick decision. Not too many people had known that I had an offer from Richmond, just because once they moved there, I kind of knew it was the perfect fit. So I didn't take too much time committing. But yeah, the process overall went pretty smoothly for me, and it was easy having 2 older sisters that went through it. So my family was comfortable with it. I was in an amazing AU program, so overall the recruiting process wasn't as stressful for me as it is for some people who it's like their first time going through it.
Did you go visit the campus of both Bucknell and obviously Richmond, but did you visit the campus at Bucknell?
Yeah, I had gone to their elite camp, I think like 3 or 4 times. I think I went in 8th grade first time, and then I had gone on an unofficial visit too, I think junior year.
Any thought to the local schools at all?
Yeah, I did. I think I kind of wanted to get out of Buffalo a little bit. I definitely still considered them, and I had great relationships with the coaching staffs and all that. But I think when it came down to it, it was kind of just like location, and I wanted a new experience kind of going far away for college.
Aside from basketball, what do you like about the academic side and what they offer at Richmond, and what are you looking to do outside of basketball?
I think the academic side of Richmond was one of the things that like pulled me there. It's a great school, and it's a smaller school, so the class sizes will be a little bit smaller, which will help with me being an athlete. I'll have like a better relationship with the professors. That's what a lot of the girls said. Like they're really accommodating when we have to like travel or miss something with like giving us online tests or letting us take it after. So I think that was a big factor because obviously like we're student athletes, you need to take the academic side seriously, and being at like a bigger school, sometimes that becomes like more difficult. And then for outside of basketball, I'm not completely sure what I want to major in. I'll probably go in undecided, but looking probably for something with like the communications or like media side of like for my major.
Excellent. All your experiences. Oh, did you look at any other schools, or was it Sacred Heart from day one? I know you have sisters, but did you look at any other Catholic schools, or even
Sacred
what
Heart.
public school would you have had to go to?
I would have gone to Clarence,
Okay.
but for me, I think it was kind of just Sacred Heart always. I mean, I don't even think I shadowed any other schools just because it was like my sisters had looked at other schools, but my oldest sister's other top choice was Holy Angels, which I ended up closing anyways. So for me, it was kind of just like finishing off my sister's just like chain of all this going there. So
just talk about playing for Candace Owens.
yeah, she was an amazing coach. She came in my sophomore year and changed our program around. You know, we won my first state championship that year. And she just instilled another level of hard work in all of us. And anytime we were like goofing off in practice or anything, obviously we had fun practices, but she always like reminded us of our goals and reminded us that we needed to work hard and stay as a team. And she really emphasized like team chemistry, because if you're fighting in the locker room and not getting along together, it'll be very like obvious on the court. And when you don't have that team chemistry, then on the court you can tell, and like plays won't run as smoothly. There'll be less communication on defense, which are all the little things that like help to win. So she kind of just brought that team morale together and was definitely a huge factor in all of our success.
Siobhan, what would you say to a young girl who's looking at schools right now where they should go in the fall? Most of them already got their acceptance letters, but let's back up a few months. And if you're a young girl starting to look, what can you tell her about Sacred Heart and the memories that you made there? I'm sure you wouldn't trade them, but what would you tell a young girl looking at schools right now and looking to go that Catholic school way?
Yeah, I would say that Sacred Heart was definitely the best fit for me, academic wise, socially, and with sports too. All of our sports teams are really successful, and obviously every year you place a little bit different, but almost all of our teams are always doing well in each sport. And then obviously we're an amazing academic school too. It's challenging at times, obviously, but all of our teachers are there to support us and stuff. And then just the school as an environment is like, it's a welcoming atmosphere. Everybody gets along really well. You can always like look to somebody that'll help you. And for the freshmen, like when you see a confused freshman in the hallway, like there's always an older girl that's there to help you, which I think is something that for girls that are coming in from like a public school or somewhere without many friends is super beneficial. And it's definitely an easy place to feel welcomed and make friends. So I think it was the best fit for me, and I think it's the best fit for a lot of girls out there.
Good to hear. Well, Siobhan, I want to wish you the best of luck at Richmond. I know that things are crazy right now. We're not sure what's going to go on, if there's going to be any extracurricular activities like prom. Obviously, graduation is very important to you, and I'm sure there will be a ceremony. It might not be as originally scheduled, but I'm sure that's going to happen for you. And it was a pleasure watching you all these years. You absolutely represented your school, and a great ambassador for the game of basketball, girls especially. I know a lot of girls do look up to you, so I want to congratulate you on a wonderful career at Sacred Heart. Wish you the best of luck at Richmond, and again, thank you very much for joining me today on the Sportsline.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Okay, folks, that's going to do it pretty much for episode 4. Before I leave, I want to leave you with a message from. I saw this video the other day that Scott Pelkey put out. He is the football coach at ECC. Very powerful message. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play a clip from it. But you could find it on Facebook, and I'll try and find the longer version too and retweet it out. But I thought it was a very important message, especially today with what we got going on. So I'm going to play Pelkey's message for you. But remember, Dick Gallagher in your prayers. He's got a big fight right now in front of him again. That man had 85 procedures last year alone. Dick's been an ambassador for high school sports for decades. And we're not here right now. I'm not doing the show if it wasn't for Dick Gallagher. I wouldn't be doing high school sports at all if it wasn't for Dick Gallagher. So think about Dick. And if you want to send Thinking of You card or something like that, by all means, send it to the WNY Athletics office, care of Dick Gallagher. We're at 405 North French Road, Suite 108, Amherst, New York, 14228. Don't drop it off. Send in the mail, and I will make sure it gets to Dick Gallagher, who I believe is going to be on the show next week. Might just be a phone-in, but we're going to have Dick talk about his story, just to update his condition and things of that nature, because I know a lot of people are asking, and it's the least we can do. The other thing is this: for all you aspiring journalists out there and guys that want and girls that want to get into communications production, don't just sit home doing nothing. You have to stay relevant, and by staying relevant, you continue to write, do interviews, do whatever you can. Even if you're not going to put the interview in a story, call coaches, make contacts, call anybody, and just do interviews, record them. This is a perfect time to get good at what you're wanting to do later in life. If you want to be a reporter, what a time to finally get your interviews down and work on that. So just call a coach, random coach. Call the lacrosse coach at Binghamton, assistant coach, somebody. Interview them. Do something. If you're just sitting around wasting time, you're not helping yourself. So stay hungry, stay active. If you're not writing for anybody right now, doesn't mean you can't write. Send a story to someone. Maybe they'll publish it. A lot of people say, well, I'm not writing unless I get paid. Well, okay, that's fine, but you're not relevant if they don't see what you did, and no one cares what you did 10 years ago. No one cares even what you did 5 years ago. We're in a world where you have to do stuff now. We live in the now. If you did write an article 10 years ago, retweet it. Don't let it sit back there. If you did something in the Gazette or the Buffalo News, if you appeared somewhere, find that article, put it out there, retweet it, put it on Facebook, stay relevant. Get in front of people, because if you're not out there, you're going to be forgotten about. So that's one of the reasons why WNY Athletics is here. If you need an outlet and you got a nice story, a high school themed, we'll take it. We'll be glad to put it out there. Can't pay $1 million, but we'll work with you. That's what WNY Athletics is here for. We are here for the next group of reporters and broadcasters. Come work with WNY Athletics. We'll help you. We'll get you in front of the right people to build that future, to build that resume. There's a lot of people out there that have used WNY Athletics as a stepping stone to get to the next level or get their first job in broadcasting. We've had a number of our people featured in the Buffalo News and the Niagara Gazette and other publications. We've got a guy that went out to Ohio last year, and he's working at a channel out there. So these are difficult times right now. Not a lot of people are hiring. You just saw that Entercom's putting a bunch of people on furlough. You know that the Buffalo News is going to start putting people on furlough. So stay relevant. Find articles that you wrote in the past, retweet them, put them back out there. Some of your best stuff, anything. Just retweet every day something you did in the past, or stay relevant. Write something new. How's this affecting you? How's this affecting your livelihood? Write it. Send it to me. I'll post it. Maybe join me on a show at some point. But if you're just sitting at home waiting for that phone to ring or that email to come in, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen for a while. So stay relevant, stay hungry. Why would you listen to someone like me? Well, let me tell you, I own a business. I own a couple of businesses. And years ago, my trucking business, I got in the trucking logistics business for free. That's right. I started in my business for free. I worked for almost, I don't want to say free. I got a little bit, but not much. I'm embarrassed to tell you what I started at when I got in the trucking business. Well, guess what? I run my own company right now. So, and that's 22, 23 years later. Um, so, just take a job, even if it doesn't pay a whole heck of a lot, find yourself out there, get good at what you want to do, and who knows how things will change. But don't just sit around doing nothing. Stay active, stay hungry, and best of luck to you. Here's that message from Coach Pelkey, and after that, we are going to close out the show. So have a good night, everybody. Episode 5 tomorrow. Sam Klein from St. Joe's, Kyrie Demos from the Niagara Gazette, I believe John Otto from Lancaster Basketball, and Corey Desiderio from the Sun. See you Friday. Here's Coach Pelkey.
I'm calling it the You Bring generation. Generation You Bring. I will give everything I have in my life to make sure that every single person I ever meet finds that opportunity to bring their potential to the surface. I'm asking you now. I'm begging you now. As a movement of youth, please make the right decisions. Be accountable. Don't live up to the external pressures. This is your time. This is your generation. We all need to come together now. So I might sound like a raving middle-aged guy, which I probably am, but I got passion, and I got heart, and I got idealism, and I believe in our youth like no time before. I know what's hidden in there. I've seen it. I watch it implode in front of me all the time when you don't get what you don't want. You know what? No one can define the future for you. There is no want. Find out how you do things and bring that to the world, because those are your gifts. That's your genius. You have a genius of you that you need to bring to this world, and you need to do it now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. I love you very much. You are what you bring, and what you bring is your gift to the world. And I know I sound crazy, but we're living in a crazy time. And we got to give everything we've got. And this is all I have to give. So I love you, and I wish you well, and I hope to God that your families are safe. And